Breaking news coming from Katsina State has left many Nigerians absolutely stunned and questioning what exactly is going on with the fight against banditry in the northwest. A secret letter has been uncovered, revealing that the Katsina state government is actually asking the court to release 70 suspected bandits as part of what they are calling a peace deal. Yes, you heard that correctly. 70 suspected criminals who have allegedly terrorized communities are being considered for release, and according to insider information, some of these individuals may even be connected to the notorious bandit leader Bello Turji. Let me break down what we know so far, because this story is absolutely wild. According to documents that have surfaced, in January 2025, the Katsina state government has written to the judiciary seeking assistance in securing the release of these 70 suspects currently in various detention facilities. The government's position is that releasing these individuals is crucial to a broader peace initiative aimed at ending the violence that has plagued Katsina and neighboring states for years. Now, on the surface, the idea of pursuing peace might sound noble, but when you dig deeper into the details, the situation becomes far more complicated and controversial. The letter reportedly outlines that these suspects have agreed to lay down their arms and cooperate with the government in exchange for their freedom. The state government believes that by showing this gesture of goodwill, they can encourage other bandits still operating in the forests to abandon their criminal activities and embrace peace. But here's where things really get interesting and concerning at the same time. Intelligence sources have indicated that among these 70 individuals are persons believed to be affiliated with or have worked directly under Bello Turji, one of the most feared bandit commanders in the entire northwest region. Bello Turji's name alone sends shivers down the spines of residents in Zamfara, Sokoto, and Katsina states, because his group has been linked to countless kidnappings, killings, and the displacement of entire villages. The big question everyone is asking is whether this peace deal is genuinely a path to lasting security or if it is a dangerous gamble that could backfire spectacularly. Critics of this approach have been very vocal, arguing that releasing suspected criminals without proper prosecution sets a terrible precedent. They point out that many of these bandits have committed heinous crimes, including murder, rape, cattle rustling, and mass abductions. Victims and their families are understandably outraged at the prospect of seeing those who destroyed their lives walk free without facing justice. One community leader, speaking anonymously, expressed deep frustration, saying that while everyone wants peace, it cannot come at the expense of justice and accountability. How do you explain to a mother whose children were killed or a father whose daughters were abducted that their tormentors are being released in the name of peace? On the other hand, supporters of the peace initiative argue that the conventional military approach has not yielded the desired results despite years of operations. They contend that bandits know the terrain better than security forces, making it extremely difficult to completely eliminate them through force alone. According to this school of thought, dialogue and reintegration programs might be the only realistic way to end the cycle of violence. Some government officials have pointed to similar programs in the Northeast, where former fighters were rehabilitated and reintegrated into society with varying degrees of success. They believe that if proper structures are put in place for monitoring, rehabilitation, and community reintegration, these former bandits could potentially become productive members of society. But let us be honest here. The Nigerian public has heard these promises before. Many people remember when similar amnesty programs were implemented in different parts of the country, and in some cases, beneficiaries returned to criminal activities shortly after being released. The lack of trust in government's ability to effectively monitor and rehabilitate these individuals is a major concern. There are also questions about whether adequate victim support and compensation mechanisms are in place. What happens to the communities that suffered at the hands of these bandits? Are they just expected to welcome their former oppressors back with open arms? The involvement of possible Bello Turji associates adds another layer of complexity to this entire situation. Bello Turji himself has been a slippery figure, sometimes engaging in negotiations with authorities while simultaneously continuing attacks on innocent communities. Just recently, in late 2024 and early 2025, there have been reports of intensified military operations targeting his camps, yet he continues to evade capture. If his foot soldiers are being released while he remains at large and operational, what message does that send? Some security analysts warn that this could actually embolden him and other bandit leaders who might see it as the government showing weakness or desperation. The timing of this revelation is also significant because it comes at a period when President Bola Tinubu's administration has been emphasizing a tough stance on insecurity across the country. The federal government has repeatedly stated its commitment to crushing banditry and terrorism in all forms. So a state government pursuing what some perceive as a soft approach creates an interesting dynamic. It raises questions about coordination between federal and state authorities in tackling security challenges. Are they on the same page regarding strategy, or are we seeing conflicting approaches that could undermine overall effectiveness? Now, if you are enjoying this breakdown of what's really happening in Katsina and you want to stay updated on important stories affecting Nigeria, please take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss any updates. Your support really helps us continue bringing you these detailed analyses. Now, let us talk about what this means for ordinary Nigerians living in affected areas. For years, communities in Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, and parts of Niger and Kaduna states have lived in constant fear. Farmers can't access their farms, children can't go to school safely, and many villages have been completely abandoned. The economic impact has been devastating, with food production dropping significantly in areas that were once breadbaskets of the nation. Every time there's talk of peace deals or negotiations, residents experience a mixture of hope and skepticism. They desperately want the violence to end, but they've been disappointed so many times that trusting any new initiative becomes difficult. What makes this particular situation even more sensitive is the secrecy surrounding it. The fact that this letter was not made public by the government but was instead leaked raises serious transparency concerns. Why would such a significant policy decision be kept secret from the very citizens it affects most? Democratic governance requires openness, especially on matters as critical as security and justice. When governments operate in secrecy on such issues, it fuels suspicion and conspiracy theories. People begin to wonder if there are hidden interests or if powerful individuals connected to these bandits are pulling strings behind the scenes. Speaking of conspiracy theories, there have long been whispers about connections between some bandits and certain political or traditional elites in the Northwest. While these remain largely unverified allegations, the perception exists and it influences how the public views initiatives like this peace deal. Some citizens believe that banditry has become so entrenched because it serves certain interests, whether economic or political. Cattle rustling, for instance, has evolved into a massive criminal enterprise worth billions of naira, and some suspect that the proceeds find their ways into legitimate businesses and political financing. If true, this would explain why, despite all the military might deployed to the region, the problem persists and even grows. The Katsina state government has not made extensive public comments on this leaked letter as of now, but it would be crucial for them to address citizens' concerns transparently. The people deserve to know the details of this peace deal, what conditions these 70 suspects must meet, how they will be monitored after release, what compensation or support victims will receive, and what happens if these individuals return to criminality. Without clear answers to these questions, the initiative will continue facing fierce opposition from a skeptical public. It is also worth considering the psychological impact of such decisions on security personnel who risk their lives daily fighting these criminals. Soldiers, police, and other security agents put everything on the line in operations against bandits. Imagine the morale hit when those they worked hard to apprehend are simply released through administrative processes. This could create resentment and affect the motivation of security forces at a time when their commitment is most needed. As this story continues developing, Nigerians across the country will be watching closely to see how it unfolds. Will this peace deal bring the lasting security that has eluded the Northwest for so long, or will it prove to be another failed experiment that only emboldens criminals? The answers to these questions will have far-reaching implications not just for Katsina, but for how Nigeria addresses insurgency and banditry nationwide. What do you think about this peace deal approach? Should the government prioritize dialogue and amnesty, or should justice and prosecution come first? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below because this conversation is one every Nigerian needs to be a part of. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button now so you can stay informed about stories that matter.